Hello there and good to have you join us on News on the Hour on Plus TV Africa. I'm David Alabi and here are the stories making the headlines. Now we begin our bulletin with reports across Nigeria. But first, party politics. The national leadership of the People's Democratic Party has explained why it is yet to constitute a panel that will screen its presidential aspirants. Apart from the presidential aspirants, the party has also yet to name the panel that will look into the credentials of other aspirants. The National Publicity Secretary of the party, Kola Ologbondiyan, said on Sunday that there was nothing wrong in the delay, saying that the party would soon name the members of the panel. He said that the party was still busy selling its forms, adding that as soon as that was done, the National Working Committee would release the list. And away from that development now, Nigerian billionaire Toyin Cole on Saturday resigned from the board of directors of Sahara Group of Companies, apparently to join the 2019 governorship race in Rivers State, Salt, Nigeria. Mr. Cole was an executive director of energy company, which he co-founded in 1996. The board of Sahara Group, in a statement issued on Saturday, said he was leaving the company in order to participate in active politics. The resignation is coming a few days after the Minister of Transport, Rotimi Amechi, refuted media reports that Mr. Cole was his preferred choice for the Rivers governorship election and not his longtime ally, the Kuku side, who ran unsuccessfully against the current governor, Nyesom Wike, in the 2015 elections. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari of Nigeria has said that Boko Haram insurgents no longer control any part of the country. He said this on Sunday in Beijing, China, while stating some of the successes of his administration as he addressed some Nigerians residing in the country. The president attributed the successes to operations of security agencies deployed to counter insurgency in the northeastern part of the country. On the herders and farmers crisis in the country, the president blamed the clashes on the shrinking of the Lake Chad Basin, which, according to him, has forced many cattle nomads to seek greener pastures for their herds in other parts of the country. He, however, said security agencies are doing their best to curtail the crisis. Still on matters surrounding the Boko Haram, Nigeria, Germany, Norway and the United Nations have converged on Berlin on Monday for a pledging conference on Boko Haram. The Berlin conference, holding from the 3rd to 4th of September, is jointly organized by the three countries and the UN and is one of the 2018 largest pledging conferences for the Lake Chad region. The conference will focus on humanitarian assistance, civilian protection, crisis prevention and stabilization for the region, as well as seek to raise funds for the humanitarian requirements totaling $1.56 billion. The pledges at the conference would help humanitarian assistance for the northeast Nigeria and parts of Chad and Cameroon, ravaged by Boko Haram insurgents. The Nigerian envoy stressed the need for collaborations and cooperation among countries of the Lake Chad, the donors, as well as humanitarian development partners. A non-governmental organization, Human and Environmental Development Agenda Resource Center, has dragged the Inspector General of Police of Nigeria, Ibrahim Idris, before the Federal High Court in Lagos, Nigeria's commercial hub, for the failure of the police to probe the Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun, who was accused of forging an exemption certificate of the National Youth Service Corps. The NGO is praying the court to grant it leave to seek an order on mandamus to compel the IG to probe the forgery allegation against the minister. Headers chairman Mr. Olarewaju Suraju said the suit became necessary after the Inspector General of Police allegedly shunned its July 10, 2018 letter demanding the probe of the minister. We now cross over to southern Nigeria, where Governor Ifeanyi Okowa of Delta State has mourned the death of a worshipper following the collapsed St. Paul Catholic Church building, Ugolo, Delta State. Governor Okowa said that his government would pay the hospital bills of all the victims of the collapsed buildings. Mr. Charles Aniago, the press secretary of the governor, conveyed the message in a statement on Sunday in Asaba. Governor Kowa described the incident in which one worshipper died and 11 others sustained various degrees of injuries as unfortunate, sad, and regrettable experience. He commiserated with the Orwe, the first, Major General Felix Majuperu, and the entire Ugola community in Ukpe Kingdom over the unfortunate incident. He said that as at the time of his visit, 7 of them had been treated and discharged, while 4 others were still receiving treatment. Now, away from that sad development to health matters, it is estimated that over 1,000 new cases of cancer are discovered every year in Nigeria, with cervical cancer on the high side of that figure. Sadly, with the lack of estimated adequate cancer screening and treatment centers. Plus TV Africa's Amaka Okoye was at the Prevention for the Cervical Cancer Walk and brings us this report.
And that's how the walk for cervical cancer prevention started today in Lagos, Saturday morning, the 1st of September. Nigeria has a population of approximately 32 million women between age 15 to 64. Women between the age of 18 to 35 are likely to suffer from cervical cancer. According to World Health Organization, women die every hour of cervical cancer in Nigeria. That is 24 women per day. At this year's Walk for Prevention of Cancer, the key message is kick out cervical cancer and let more women live.
The IMAX Merit Walk is a cause to raise awareness for cervical cancer prevention in Nigeria and in Africa, because one woman, especially in Nigeria, one woman dies every hour of cervical cancer, and we think it's unacceptable that women should be dying from a form of cancer that is 100% preventable.
I would say that this event is very important. It's targeted at women who are like the folk, they are the category of people that are affected by cervical cancer. Cervical cancer is one of the cancers that can be preventable as it has pre-cancer stage. So with a pap smear, it can be detected with checks. But unfortunately, we don't have as much information out there about cervical cancer as we should.
We have so many women in Nigeria dying from it as a result of late detection. It's also one of the types of cancer that has a vaccine to it. So I am just excited that we're raising awareness about prevention, and we're also providing free screening for women to find out early, and even for those that don't have it to get screened.
It can also be harbored for 10 to 15 years without symptoms, meaning any woman at the earliest stage of cervical cancer will show no symptoms, which is dangerous. Cervical cancer is the weeping child, as it were, begging for attention, and by extension affects all.
It might be true that the disease has no direct relationship with men, but men have relationships with women. And I have a lot of women in my life. I have a daughter, I have a wife, I have a mother, and I have sisters. And I find it appalling that cervical cancer is still claiming the lives of so many women in the country, Nigeria.
As a guy, we have mothers, we have sisters, we have wives. When we lose our women, we feel the pains too. So it's something that everybody should be involved generally.
Today's event brings about 300 women together who would be tested and screened.
What we are mostly doing is screening people here for cervical cancer, and the ones that we catch in the pre-cancerous states, we send them for further treatments. And also we offer advice for women who have been screened and have been found negative. We offer advice to give them the vaccine.
And right behind me, the screening is ongoing, which is the real deal of the day. The only hope that no one will end up with a positive result. But in the event that one woman comes with a positive result, that means they would have succeeded in saving the life of one woman from an untimely death, because cervical cancer is treatable. For Plus TV Africa, Amaka Okoye.
We'll take a quick break now. Stay tuned for more news when we return. Don't go anywhere. If you're just joining us, you're watching news on the hour on Plus TV Africa. It's now time for our Africa News package. But to some sad development now, at least 6 people were killed when a suicide car bomb struck a local government office in central Mogadishu on Sunday, destroying the building and a Quranic school opposite. At least 6 people had been killed, including soldiers, civilians and the suicide bomber, and a dozen injured. That's according to a police officer, Mohammed Hussein. The school was open, but at the time of the blast, most children were away from the building on a break. Abdiaziz Abu Musab, Al-Shabaab's military operations spokesman, said the group had carried out the attack. And in South Sudan and Ethiopia have agreed to form a joint border security force to stop the flow of arms between the two nations. The agreement between the two countries was signed at the end of a border security meeting in Ethiopia's Gambela town last week. Governor David Yaw of South Sudan's Boma state signed on behalf of its country, while the president of Gambela, Gatluak Tukkot, signed on behalf of Ethiopia. The agreement gives Ethiopia the freedom to open a liaison office in Boma State to foster cooperation between the Merle of South Sudan and the Anyuak